Well, tonight in the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, as we keep trucking along before we get to this election, and I keep saying many times, I'm ready for this election to be over with because this is, I think, one of the craziest elections that I've ever seen or ever had to cover, to be honest with you. I thought the 2020 election was crazy, but now this one's a lot crazier, right? So there was an article that popped up on CNN. If you look on the screen here, Harris still lags behind Biden's 2020 margins among black voters. They say, but the latest CNN poll suggests she has room to grow support. I will say, if she don't have support by now, then she's not going to have support. I also will say this. Her time to get the support was kind of when she first came out. And now more and more people that see her and see her interviews and let her just babble like she likes to do and repeat the same story over and over and over and over and over, literally like just on repeat, literally can't even switch up the story just a little bit or put a remix on the story. People are starting to find that out. And the more and more people hear you just saying something on the repeat and you can't even answer a question, black people see that because black people don't like fake people. If you want black support, you got to be real with black Americans. And everybody's seeing that Vice President Kamala Harris is fake and phony. We see it. I mean, from the least of us to the greatest of us, we're seeing they fake and phony. Then all the stuff about Janet Jackson. So let's go ahead and get into this because we're gonna tie all that in. So now clearly she leads Donald Trump with a wide margin among black voters, which that was kind of to be expected. I mean, I'm a realist on that. Look, let me tell y'all something. The majority of black people in America, the majority of, let's say, the electorate, they still on a Democrat plantation. Just bottom line, it's a reality. A lot of people in black America, they don't really want to do for self. They are just fine with the folks telling them what to do, giving them a job. They don't want to run anything. They don't want to be responsible for society. They don't want to do nothing. Be honest with you. They want to party and BS. And so when people like us who's watching, or like myself who say, nah, that's not good enough for me. I want to do things on my own. I want to do for self. I want to control my own education. I want to control my own businesses. I want to control my own health. I want to control my own food. I want to control what happens with me in my community, right? That gives them a problem. Why that gives them a problem? Because the folks hear that and the folks will start looking at them as like, you feel the same way? Well, why they feeling this way and you not? What's going on, right? And we cause problems for them a lot. So, but you better understand, a lot of people in your family, my family too, that don't want to do for self, that are just fine being in poverty, fine being on government programs, and they're not looking for nothing else. And listen, I'm okay with that because the scriptures teach not all will be saved. Now, they say, according to a poll with CNN conducted by SSRS, they said she still falls short of Joe Biden's 2020 winning margins with the group. They said the poll suggests that the black likely voters currently supporting Trump or third-party candidates are not locked into their choices as those black likely voters who backed the vice president. Now, they say a recent CNN poll found that Harris was leading Trump by 63 points among black voters, and they said 79-16%. It said that's a considerable improvement over Biden's 46-point advantage over Trump. They say among registered voters in CNN's June poll, said which was his last with the president at the top of the ticket, but that advantage falls short of Biden Harris campaign's 75-point margin among black voters, according to the exit polls for 2020. Now, since Harris' interest into the race, to say enthusiasm among black voters, I don't know what enthusiasm you're talking about, and say among the election appears to have grown. And say in the latest poll, 79% of black registered voters say they would definitely vote, up from 68% in June. And say for voters overall, that's still 82% in the latest poll, and say about the same in June. Say black voters now are just as likely as other voters to say it's extremely important that they personally vote, both 63% while in June, but black registered voters were less likely to say the same, 57% among black voters and 66% overall. Now, we were doing all this for a reason. They say Harris' improvement over Biden's margins from earlier this year comes as the poll finds broad support for her They say from the 40% of black likely voters who view Biden's presidency as a failure, Harris leads Trump 65% to 31% among these voters. And the poll also suggests Trump's improvements among black voters relative to 2020 are driven largely by black voters under the age of 60. Harris leads among black voters aged 60 and over by 87%, almost identical to Biden's 85% point margin, it said in 2020, according to polls. It said this shrinks to a 55-point lead for Harris among black voters younger than 60. It said Biden won that group by 71 points. It said Trump performs best among blacks likely voters younger than 40 with 22%. Now, why did Trump perform good with that group? Once again, that group, and I'll even say the under 50 group too. That group, those groups for sure. We're not looking at symbolism. We're not looking at racism. We're looking at the dollar bill, y'all. We're looking at our bank account. We're looking at these bills that's due. We're looking at our credit score because our credit score has been hit because of this economy, and we've been put in a rough patch. Symbolism not going to fix that credit score. The first this, the first that is not going to clear up that credit card debt. Understand? Skin color is not gonna pay that car note outside, or that high behind auto insurance. Your insurance rates keep going up. You haven't had no tickets, no accidents, but your stuff is through the roof. See, black people understand we're not trying to get Social Security because we don't qualify. We're not thinking about the things that people in that age group is thinking about, right? We still got our life to live. And a lot of black Americans have been priced out of the quote unquote American dream, which is getting you a decent house, a family, and anything else that you may want, take vacations, etc. A lot of black Americans have been priced out of this. So black Americans who got just common sense, let's call it what it is. Black Americans with common sense understand that it's not about nobody's symbolism, color, first this, first that. It's not about all joy. It's not about vibes. It's about our bank accounts. When our bank accounts are full and we got a lot of money left over, then we can have all the joy and vibes we want. Understand? When our businesses are performing great and not struggling, we can have all the joy we want. Until then, we got to get that bank account up. That's why. And people remember, during Trump, their bank accounts was better. Their businesses were better. And let me tell you people who have businesses something. Your businesses is directly affected on the economy because if people don't have money to shop with you, it don't matter if you Amazon, Walmart, Target, any of you billion-dollar corporations. If the economy isn't good, then you won't be good either. Because one thing about Americans, when their pockets are full, they love to spend. If their pockets stay full, they will continue to spend. When their pockets are tight, they won't spend. That's just bottom line. So any of you big businesses out there, you should be concerned about this economy because that hurts your bottom line as well. You've seen the policies of the Biden-Harris administration. How could anybody who even is a billionaire support her? All the Democrats at this point. Now they come and say that the CNN poll, it suggests that Harris has the potential to improve her margins. I personally don't see it, CNN. I don't see it at all. How's she going to improve? She can't even be straight with people. It says her supporters are broadly locked in and are likely to shift in the race. The 92% it say of black likely supporters who support Harris say their minds already made up. It said, but among those backing other candidates, a third say they have yet to change their mind. It said Harris is also generally viewed more favorably among black registered voters compared with registered voters overall. In other words, the rest of America don't see it that way. And rightfully so. Because with them, they don't look at her as the first this, the first that. With them, they're not impressed with, oh, she looked black. Because, you know, me, that's not a black woman. That's an East Indian woman. That's how I look at her. They're not impressed with that. They're not. They say, what are you going to do? You understand? So let's continue. They said nearly 8 in 10 black voters, it said, view Harris favorably. It said, and black Democrats view Harris slightly more positively than others in the party. In other words, the white, Asian, Hispanics, they don't look at her like that. while black voters outside the Democrat Party offer far more positive views of her than do independents and Republicans of other races. They say black voters who don't consider themselves Democrats are more likely than non-Democrats of other racial backgrounds to say that Harris has improved their view of the Democrat Party. Didn't improve mine. She didn't do nothing that improved my nothing. He said that they would be proud or excited if she wins the election and that her views are generally mainstream. No, they're not. Open borders. No, that's not mainstream. All this stuff about unaliving children in the womb, people not discussing that at the dinner table because that's not going to pay a bill. That's not going to pay a bill. She's not running on kitchen table issues. She's not even discussing the economy like that. Of course, Democrats is going to support that because I guess they like being broke. I don't know. I guess the only people that's going to be making money underneath her is the abortion providers. Guess they will be making money. Or if you're dealing with housing for migrants with her open border policy, sure, you'll make some money. But the rest of America, not so much. Now, say with black voters offering similar or modestly more positive views than others in the party, it said among non-Democrats, black voters also rate Harris as more aligned with their vision of a president than do other voters across all the attributes tested in the poll, including temperament, ability to understand the problems of people like themselves, and leadership skills. Where's these black people come from you're talking to? Because we just covered the other night on the African Diaspora News Channel that she's not even paying black firms anything. She's not giving them the jobs. She's giving it to white people. So how does she understand? If she truly understand how black people are left out in contracting, left out in business, getting the scraps, if they get anything, then she would say, you know what? I'm going to go to these black firms first. And whatever's left over, then I get it to the white folk. We're going to reverse it. That's how we're going to do it. And if she would do something like that, then you could say, okay, cool, because she understand, what's going on in this country, right? Now, they said that some people are less likely to trust Trump over Harris on handling the issues like including economy and immigration. I don't know who these black people are they talk to. I'm just trying to figure this out because the black people I talk to, they don't really trust her for that. Because let me tell y'all something. That open border policy is going to defeat her in that election. Because that's something I've seen Americans of all races are saying they can't get down with, this open border policy. And I have not really seen Americans this unified or definitely on one. Well, I think the economy and immigration, I've seen more Americans of all ethnicities straight up on that. And if you run on an open border policy, let me tell you something. Just like in South Africa, where Julius Malema lost votes behind open border policy in South Africa. And I love Brother Malema, but that open border policy just wasn't cutting it over there for them. And the EFF lost seats in their election behind his open border ideas. Well, just like her, open borders is destroying the fabric of America. It is. You bringing people in, you're not vetting them. You're bringing in all these different cultures and ideologies. You don't have a cohesive culture in America anymore, and that's going to cause social unraveling. You got to have a cohesive culture. Even though you may be different, you still have to have a social cohesive culture. And just realistically, the only people that kind of have some cohesion, even though we definitely different, is black Americans and white Americans. Yes, I would admit that. Black Americans and white Americans have more social cohesion than these other groups. Not to say we on each other's team like that, but you still have more social cohesion because of the founding of this country and how we built the country and everything, from the beginning to now. All these other people that came in here, right, bringing their different cultures and ideologies and ideas, that's usually going to clash. Definitely going to clash. Because you got to think about it. These people come from different mindsets. Some people come from war-torn areas. Let's say a lot of refugees. They're not used to living the way we live. Some habits, continue with them. So if they used to living in certain kind of filth, they'll bring that filth with them. If they used to doing certain things to get food, and they may not view certain animals as something we just don't eat here, well, they may eat it in their homeland. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with it. You see, the thing is, when you import all these different people in here from all these different countries, you're bringing so many different mindsets in here that's just contrary to what the main, every country should have a dominant culture. I didn't say color, I said culture. Should have a dominant culture, and you have to assimilate to that culture. For instance, if I go to China, I have to assimilate to Chinese culture. I can't go just trying to push my Black American culture on Chinese people. Not in my house. I can do what I want or whatever. But if certain things I don't supposed to say in China because it could be offensive, or certain things I do here in America, it's no big deal. But then in China, it would be a big deal. It could be offensive. Well, that's the dominant culture of China, Chinese culture. Well, in America, our biggest problem we're going to run into is that we don't have a dominant culture. And these people coming in with a different culture, different ways, doing this, doing that. And even if Vice President Kamala Harris is not elected, we're going to feel the sting of what they have done in these 4 years for a while. Even if Trump get in and he say, hey, I'm getting them all out. Realistically, Trump won't be in long enough to get them all out. We got to be realistic. Could he put a dent in it? Sure. Could he kind of scare them a little bit for them to leave on their own? Sure. But realistically, he can't remove 15 million people, 20 million people in 4 years. He can't do it. He cannot do it. The only way that could be done, he would have to literally deputize every American citizen to say, hey, point to me where they at, and you gather them up, and over here we picking them up. I mean, that's the only way it could be done. You can't do that based off of the authorities they have and all that. It's not enough ICE agents. It's not enough. So how he can't get everybody out? I mean, sure, he can cancel the temporary protected status. Sure, he can cancel any asylum claim he wants. But good luck finding some of them. We have to be realistic too. Yes, I like Trump's border policy. Yeah, cool about getting them moved out of them cities. Yeah, cool, fine. But shut down the border, no more. We got enough. And there was a story that just came out that Biden is fast tracking U.S. citizenship applications. Like they say, this is the fastest people have ever gotten it ever. So he's trying to fix like, hey, if they vote us out, we still gonna stack about a couple more million in here legally. You understand? So that's what they own. They like that. I don't know what they told him when he got in. Like, hey, you can give us so many million, we're gonna give you a big payout at the end. He must get about to get a big payout. Him and Kamala. They must about to get a big payout, ladies and gentlemen, because it don't make sense how they rush and flood this country with people from 160 different countries. It doesn't even make sense. It really don't make sense. But Black America, that's why I keep saying to Black America, you better take heed. You better realize that this may be your last election that you have any political relevance. Because if she wins, and I keep warning you, if she wins, she's going to legalize all the people they brought in, and she'll continue to bring more. And next election in 2028, you will be just like the Black people in L.A. You will be politically irrelevant. The Democrats already moved on from you. They really have. They moved on from you. Notice this election, they don't even talk about Black people. They don't talk about no Black issues. Have you noticed that in this election? They don't mention Black people because they moved on from you. When you going to realize that? When you're going to realize their new people they're prioritizing is the migrants. And that's why Eric Adams got indicted, because he was talking against the migrants and against the Democrats and Joe Biden. And they say, oh, we're going to teach you a lesson. You understand what I'm saying? I really believe that's what happened to Eric Adams. Like him or not or whatever, I don't like to see a Black person, being ran through the mud like that. I mean, we can get with Eric Adams and talk to him, holler at him or whatever if we disagree with him on something. But no, that was retaliation, basically. It was retaliation. I really believe that. But, definitely we got this election coming up, and make your voice heard, because I'm going to make my voice heard. I checked my voter registration. My voter registration says a beautiful thing, active. And when just in a few days, it's not that long, but the way time passed like this, October 21 in Texas, it's the first day of early voting. I will be there October 21, the first day of early voting. I can't wait to cast my ballot. And y'all already know I'm voting against blue, no matter who.